أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما الذين يذكرون الله قياما إن في خلق السماوات لا في الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار صدق الله المولانا العظيم. Dear friends from Europe and from India and from all over the world, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like that some of you do some interaction during this talk. I'm used to talking rather than just giving a speech. This is a very, very interesting and important topic. To understand the Quran, we need to understand the context in which we read the Quran, and that is extremely important. So contextually, the world that you and I live in today, in the world of politics, in the world of society, in the world of economics, socio-economic, political culture of the world, if you don't have a view on it, we are lost. And I would encourage some degree of interaction in this talk. And therefore, if you look at the political world, which are the major problems that are staring at us right now? 1, 2, 3, quickly. Can somebody tell? No? In the political aspect of the world, if you look at it, what are the challenges that you see? What are the tragedies that we are seeing through our eyes right now as we speak?
War is, of course, one of them.
The Ukraine war. I mean,
Yeah.
people are fighting like crazy. Tell me, second, third.
Lack of principles, maybe.
Brexit, one huge thing. Xenophobia. Everybody is anti-immigration, anti-foreigners. So they're putting up walls. They're creating, ships are coming and they're being pushed back. Xenophobia. Fighting each other. Brexit. Everybody is closing up their walls. What about socially? What is happening socially to society when we look at society? What do you think is happening? Give me one stuff that is happening.
We are becoming more individualistic.
More individualistic. What that means is a total breakdown of the family. There is no guarantee within the family, and therefore people don't want to marry. They just don't want to marry. They're highly, highly individualistic. And you see that social breakdown happening. 50% of households are single families out there in the United States and other places. Why? What about economically? What do we see? We see a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. And therefore,
unchecked capitalism.
Yeah, absolutely. Corporatocracy, the military-industrial complex, and banking, sucking out the blood from the poorer countries. And when you see all this, how do you look at individuals? What is happening to the mind within himself? How do you describe an individual? Huh? Anyway,
myself.
More self-centered.
Self-centered, depression, drugs, alcoholism, lack of meaning, lost.
Materialism.
Materialism. Ultimately, you see that people are afraid, they're scared, they're anxious. There is no peace of mind. It looks like there's no purpose, there's no meaning in life. I mean, the way we are amassing wealth, standing by the formula, greed is good. It's good to be greedy. This is the only life, so people are enjoying themselves, and they believe that they are animals. Who are we describing at the moment? Who are we describing? People who are lost, do not have an identity, who are looking at the dunya as if it's their last chance to make it. Who are we looking at? People who are depressed, people who are scared. Who are we looking at? No, I think we are looking at ourselves. We should look at ourselves and look at defining who we are, our identity. Friends, at the same time, if you look inwards, if you look at the Muslim world around, what you find is humiliation. What you find is helplessness. What you find is being dictated at. Others will tell us what we should wear, what we should eat, how we can pray, where we can pray, which masjid we are allowed to pray, which masjid we are not allowed to pray. Only last week, they opened up the Jamia Masjid in Srinagar after 30 weeks of suspension. They said, you cannot pray here. And they stop you from doing the azan. They stop you from everything. They say, you cannot wear your hijab. Humiliation. I mean, these are moments when we should think, why? Why are we like this? What made us this way? When we think like that, I want to take you back to 3 people who thought like this in the last 100 years. I would like to, say a little bit of Urdu here. One of the greatest philosophers and thinkers in the last 100 years in the Islamic world was a man called Iqbal, Muhammad Iqbal Sahab. He's known more famously as Allama Iqbal. He's written poetry, and one of the couplets he wrote is, "वो मुअज़्ज़िज़ थे दुनिया में मुसलमान होकर, तुम खार हुए तारिके कुरान होकर." Yani the people before you were honored, were powerful, and respected because they were Muslim. And you have been humiliated, weakened, because you gave up the Quran. And that is what went wrong with you. And then there was a man in the early 20th century. He was one of the founders and the greatest scholars of Deoband. His name is Maulana Gangohi, rahmatullahi alayh. He had been incarcerated, imprisoned by the Britishers because he was struggling for freedom for India. Of course, India has forgotten it today. And Maulana Gangohi, when he was incarcerated into a jail in Malta, can anybody tell me where Malta is? You guys are all in Europe. Where is Malta?
It's Mediterranean
Well,
Europe.
Yes, it's an island in the Mediterranean.
Near Italy.
It's an island in the Mediterranean, and one of the easiest ways to get an EU citizenship today, if you have a little money, you can get it. You can buy it in Malta. So Maulana Gangohi was incarcerated, imprisoned by the Britishers in Malta, and he wondered in prison, why have we lost? Why have we become weak? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا أَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. You will be successful. But we have lost. We're humiliated. The world is treating us like sidekicks. You can occupy Israel, Pakistan, Palestine. You can do whatever you want with our countries. You can install whichever dictator you want. What's wrong? After a lot of contemplation, he came to one conclusion. Muslims have given up on the Quran. They don't understand it anymore. They don't follow it anymore. There is a beautiful qirat. You have looked at the body, but not at the spirit. Your Quran is meaningless to us. Interestingly, there was another very, very interesting scholar. All of you may know his name in the last 100 years. These are the biggest scholars that Islam has produced in the world and happen to be Indian. Maulana Abul Hassan Ali Nadwi. He was, when he was young, he was very, very dynamic. He was the editor in his very young age of a newspaper that came out from Nadwatul Ulama and of a magazine. He being the editor, he wrote, this is the 1930s. He wrote to the very important people of that age, asking, you are such an important man today. Give us the name of one book that opened your imagination, that was the key to your success and built your personality. Amazingly. And each month he used to reproduce one great man's story of which book inspired him in his life. Amazingly, there was only one man who came out and said, "It is the Quran that inspired me." And that was Maulana Maududi. In his book, he writes it. Ali Mian Nadwi Sahab writes this in his book. And he says that Maulana Maududi wrote that I had a lot of questions in my life. It was all messed up on the issues of, whatever the Western Renaissance in Europe, whatever John Locke created, whatever John Adams created, whatever all the Voltaire created, their imagination and philosophy was whatever Immanuel Kant created. There were like a lot of questions that came up in Maulana Maududi's mind. But he said, once I started reading the Quran gave me the master key to all the locks of life. There were so many questions, but any question that came up, I would put the key of the Quran, and the Quran could unlock everything for me. Questions that took 100 volumes to write, the Quran has answered in one sentence. And that's the amazing part of Quran, and somehow we have given up on it. Friends, one of the most beautiful things that the Quran does to us is it makes you think. It makes you question yourself. It's the only religious book text in the world that encourages you to ask questions to yourself, to the world around you, to understand, to think, to contemplate, to wonder. Remember this poem, "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are." That wonder in a man. The Quran doesn't create wonder. No other book can create wonder. And it does it beautifully. It asks you questions. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. Have you wondered how you were created? Where did you come from? Have you wondered that drop of water, where that came from? Where did that egg and sperm come from? Who were you? What were you? You were, after all, a drop of water. You were, after all, a clot of blood. You were, after all, a helpless fetus in the mother's womb. You didn't know anything. You couldn't see. You couldn't talk. You couldn't hold your pee. You couldn't sit. You couldn't hold your neck. This is who you were. Understand, think, wonder. Who gave you the food? Who gave you the water? What do you eat? These are questions that the Quran asks. And while we read the Quran, we should deeply contemplate and say, yeah. Because, just like I said, there are two things that have created difficulty in man today. Number one, the question of superiority. Every man thinks I'm superior to the other. And the second thing was greed, covetousness. I want everything for myself. And I don't want anything to be given away to anybody else. So these two questions, the question of arrogance, comes out because we have lost our identity. We don't know who we are. Who are we? And therefore, the Quran, in a beautiful way, reminds us. The Quran calls itself a reminder. Who am I? I'm a reminder. I tell you that you are nothing but an egg, a sperm, a dirty liquid, a little mud that's grown up today. And man is starting to question, where is God, when he has forgotten who he himself is. He doesn't know who he is. And he talks about where is God, and I don't see anybody up there putting, pouring water down there. And you forgot where you come from and where you're going. The Quran asks a very interesting question. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are you going? What are you doing? The morning and the evening, going to work, coming back, going to work, coming back, marrying, and then having a job, buying a car, buying a house, having children, retiring, and dying away. What are you doing? What's your purpose in life? Is that what you're born for? Do you think from your stomach? Everything you do is for comfort. Everything you do is for living a life. Allah gave you a kidney. Allah gave you a heart. Allah gave you eyes. Allah gave you mind. Allah gave you everything that could give you a life. And yet, all your 24 hours, we are lost in this world, trying to just make ends meet, and which never ends. Alhaakumut takathur hatta zurtumul makhabir. This wanting to amass wealth more and more and more and more is never ending, and it ends only when you enter the mud. Man's stomach is never filled up. Never will it fill up. When one goal is achieved, there is another, and then there is another, and then there is another, until you die, and then you start wondering, God, I lost my entire life. And therefore, the Quran forces you to think and says, Quran invites you and says, there's a verse in Surah Araf, chapter 7. If I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere around 170, after 175, maybe 178 or something, Surah Araf, which says that man has eyes but does not see. Lahum khulubun. He has the heart, but he does not think. He has the eyes. La yubsiruna biha. He does not see. He has ears. Lahum azanun. La yasma'una biha. He does not hear. Balki man has become an animal, and worse than an animal. Balhum adal. Worse than an animal, because he is not think, he's not wondering, he's not pondering. So many questions the Quran asks. In one interesting passage in Surah Al-Waqiyah, which is number 56, it says, have you wondered on your creation? Have you wondered on the seed that you sow inside? Have you wondered on the water that comes down? Have you wondered on the fuel that you use to drive your cars and how the wood burns to give you food, fire? Who created it? You created or we created? And why don't you be thankful? One of the greatest tragedies of life is a feeling that the whole world runs because of me. I, me, myself. And I don't see a God around. We're not thankful. One of the first things for man is to be thankful. Thanklessness has created boredom within us. We're never thankful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. He gave us so much. Just our eyes, think about it. The teeth, the mouth, the skin, the nails. And we're not thankful. We only cry when our kidneys fail. We only cry when our hair starts falling. We only cry when we get COVID. We don't know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected us. So the Quran basically makes you think and makes you thankful. Gives you the correct position of who you are. And it asks you a very, very interesting question. And I want you to read the Quran and understand it. You should ask that question to yourself. You should read the Quran like the Quran is speaking to you and not to others. One of the interesting questions it asks is, who do you obey? Obedience is a central question in the Quran. Who do you obey? And who do we obey? Think about it. Why did you become an engineer? Why did you start your business? Why did you go to Europe? Why did you go to Dubai? Why are you in Africa? What made you do that? Who told you to do that? The answer, friends, usually, and for most of us, is I think, I want, and in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I am HO. We follow our opinions, we follow our thoughts, we follow our wives, we follow the society, we follow fashion, we follow what looks good and what people are saying. We follow everything except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us. We follow everything except what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us. And even if we do, we follow it only to how much money do we pay zakat? 2.5%. To that extent we follow, and then 97% we follow our own souls, what we think is right, not what Allah Ta'ala thinks is right, not what He commanded us to do, what we want, what we desire. We are slaves of our desire. We are slaves of the desires of our children. We are slaves of the desires of our wives. We are slaves of the desires of our families. We are not slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's a question that comes again and again and again. And then it so happens that you may ask me a question. What else is life? It's about becoming doctors, engineers, and enjoying vacations and going around the world and looking at Burj Khalifa in Dubai, or something else in London and something else, the Westminster in London or the London Clock Tower, and I don't know what else that you want to see in France and Italy and wherever. Is that what life is all about? The Quran asks a question in Surah Al-Mu'minun, in the last ruku, in the last few verses. It asks, do you think this life is purposeless? That you can live the way you want? Is that what life is? There's no purpose in it. What's the verse, Mubashir? Abasan. Do you think life is purposeless?
حسبتم أنما
أنما خلقناكم عبثا. Do you think, is this your estimate? Is this how you're reckoning yourself, that life is purposeless? Friends, one of the important things that man has missed today is to understand what life is. The American Constitution defines life as a pursuit of happiness, as a pursuit of self-gratification. Is that what life is all about? The Quran tells, number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this entire universe. You know, Surah Al-Mulk, تبارك الذي بيده الملك الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. I created this whole thing to find out who amongst you is the best in behavior, best in character. Everything that we do in life is a test of who we are, how we behave, who we obey. The Quran tells us that life is tough. Life is a struggle. You have to run. You have to excel. You have to be the best. Best. Go towards Jannah. Seek His maghfirah. Try to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't be satisfied with something very, very small. No, I pay zakat. I pray. Is that what you want? What is the dunya? Mata'un khalil. What is the dunya? It's ephemeral. It's transitory. It comes, it goes. And it's an illusion. اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو. It's just fun and games. It's a play. London dekho, Delhi dekho, Bombay dekho, Chennai dekho. What nonsense. And then you die, and then you go away. It's a drama. Somebody is a doctor, somebody is an engineer, somebody is a businessman, somebody is a king, somebody is a sweeper. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't care who that is. It only sees, did you sweep the floors well? Were you a doctor who was afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Were you a politician who was afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Were you a judge who was afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Did his best so that Allah loves you. He put you into a very awkward situation, yet did you come out of it fair and square, keeping up your promises, not accepting any self-gratification out of it. You know, the world being a drama, being an illusion, being transitory. Have you seen how you feel when you buy a new car, when you go to a new house, when you go to a new country? It feels exhilarating, but within few days, you feel depressed. You're no longer happy with that car. It doesn't give you that enjoyment. That's how the dunya is. And therefore, to go after this dunya is useless. The Quran asks, "Qul a'unabbi'ukum bi khairin min zalikum." What a question. This is in Surah Al Imran, chapter 3. I don't know, it could be verse 17 or 23, somewhere there between 17 and 23, you'll find this verse. Okay, do you want to know that there is something better than Dubai, London, and New York? What is your direction in which you're going? Is your focus to Makkah, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards Jannah? Where is your orientation? Or is your orientation towards enjoyment and self-satisfaction and having your fun and having your pleasure and fulfilling your interests, or getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Where are you? Do you want to know something better? Is there something better? Friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the Jannah, the everlasting gardens, the beautiful expanse that you have. When man finally, the successful man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes him into the garden and says, "Enter, my favorite son, enter the garden today." And when the man looks at that garden, he says, "God, is this mine? This entire thing, bigger than the universe that I ever knew. What have I done to get this? Mulkan Kabira, the beauty of it, the whores in it, the spouses in it, the children in it, the rivers in it, the fruits in it. What a life." No, not London, New York, Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai. Not Bentley cars and Mercedes cars. Not the beautiful women you may be thinking about. There's something ever so beautiful, fantastic. Forget about these cars. Forget about these houses. Forget about these buildings. Forget about that. It's not worth living for. It's not worth dying for. It's not worth working hard for. If there is something to be working hard for, it is that Jannah. سارعوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم وجنة عرضها كعرض السماء والأرض. That's the dunya you should find. That is what you should strive for. The Quran gives you a purpose, a direction, an identity, an understanding of success. And who is that Jannat for? Of course, you work hard, you study hard, you become an engineer, you do business, you invest in real estate, you get a lot of money. That is who gets it. But who gets the Jannat? What kind of people? الصابرين والصادقين والقانتين والمنفقين والمستغفرين بالأسحار. That's the character of the Jannat. As-sabirin. He does not get angry. He's patient. He's striving. He holds his guns. He holds his beliefs, no matter what comes in, whether in war, adversity, or prosperity. Every time his direction is fixed. It is the Jannah that he wants, and he is continuously going towards it. When he is in difficulty, when he's in prosperity. He does not forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's always thankful. He's always obedient. He does not break the rules. As-sabirin was-sadiqin. He's very truthful. Wherever he is, he's truthful. As-sabirin was-sadiqin wal-khanitin. He's obedient. He bows. Warka'u ma'ar-raki'in. You will see that he's in prayer morning, afternoon, evening, and night. In the masjid, at home, he's worshipful. He's soft. He's obedient. Wal munfiqin. He spends his money. Mimma razaqnahum yunfiqun. He's not miserly. You ask him and he will give. He's not coveted. He's not amassing wealth upon wealth upon wealth. More working morning, afternoon, night, working, making, amassing, bank balance and things. That's not who he is. He's a man who gives. Take it. Take that also. Anything more you want? What an attitude. Simplicity. وَالْمُسْتَغْفِرِينَ بِالْأَسْحَارِ. He's a man who is not happily asleep. No. He remembers his Creator. Gets up in the morning, in the early hours of the morning. Friends, this is a Quran class. If you don't have this habit of learning the Quran early in the morning, reciting it in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, holding your hands, standing in front of Him, and reciting whatever Quran we know, in a beautiful voice, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of your life. If you don't do that and seeking forgiveness, he's not self-confident that I've done everything right. He's scared. He's scared of that day. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ. He's scared of the day when he will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran reminds you, remember that day when there shall be nobody with you. And on that day, the one who has suppressed his desires is the one who will be successful. The Quran gives this very cute little things. Wallahu yuhibbul muhsinin. Wallahu yuhibbul mutatahhirin. Wallahu yuhibbus sabirin. Just one word answers. وَمَنْ يُقَّ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Falah, success, is for people who are not greedy, who are not covetous, who are not bigoted. Success is for the clean people. Success is for the people who get up in the night and seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Friends, what is success? Who is successful? So the Quran, the attached, these are answers that you will not get in books. Recipes for success, management books, seven keys to success. Forget about it. All confusing. The single thread that the Quran goes from end to end about telling who you are, what your position is, what your meaning is, what your purpose in life is, who is successful, who is a failure, who is a pauper. Amazing, just amazing. It's a Quran that creates a personality out of you. One of the verses from Surah Al Imran, chapter 3, I think it's 185. It says, Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Remembrance of maut, of death. Without that, we get lost. There's nobody else in this world where death is reminded. Everybody thinks he's going to live forever, and therefore he amasses forever. He has wealth that can feed him for 100 generations. Kullu nafsin dha'iqa, you're all going to die. Remember. And for a moment, brothers and sisters, think of your death. When are you dying? Do you know the date? Do you know the time? Just a couple of days ago, yesterday or day before, a very famous spin bowler, Shane Warne from Australia, one of his colleagues died, Rodney Marsh, and he sent him a tweet saying, "Rip, oh my friend, brother, Rod, Rest in peace, Shane Warne said. And then he didn't know, he didn't even imagine the next moment he was going to die. In a few moments after that, he himself died. That's how life is. I'm speaking today. I don't know if I will end this conversation. I don't know if I will sleep tonight. I don't know if I will get up tomorrow morning. Friends, the time is now. Seek forgiveness. Say sorry. Get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't waste your time. There's no time for this. The time is now. Give out your wealth. Say sorry. Seek forgiveness. Get up in the night, not after you retire, brothers. There's no time. Open up the Quran. Read. We started with that hukum. Iqra. Read. We all have kept it for later times. For us, engineering books are important. For us, medical books are important. For us, business and management books are important. For us, TV news is important, whether it is Al Jazeera or some other TV news, CNN. That's more important because we ought to know what happened in Ukraine. We don't need to know when we are going to be dying and what questions Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be asking and what is the condition that we will be in. We don't care. We don't care about our tomorrow. Walau tara. Kash agar tum dekhte. Wish you knew when you will be standing on the edge of the fire one day. You'll be you'll be standing on the edge of fire one day. Kya hal hoga? What will be? Walau tara iz uqifu ala rabbihim. When you'll be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala one day. Think about it. Walau tara. Wish you could see. When the malaika, the angels will come with their wings wide open and say, come on, come now. I will take your soul away back. And man cannot refuse. Today is the day that was promised. You know, recently there was this article which said, that moment when you die, your entire life comes up in front of you. The brain, the memory unfolds itself. And within a few seconds, you can see your entire life in front of you just before you die. And then you regret and you say, wish I had not wasted my time. Wish I had read the Quran. Wish I had given away all my wealth. Surah Munafiqun, chapter 63, ends with that. أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت ثم يقول ربي لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. When death comes, that time you'll say, God, give me 1 second. I'll just go back and empty everything and give everything and come back. Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَن يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا. When your time comes, it's all over. The time is now. You can do it. Sign that check and give away that money. You know, so many people in India are incarcerated. They have been put behind bars for no reason. And some of them are out on bail. In Delhi, I was speaking to some people. You think those children who are studying in the highest institutions in this country, they didn't do anything wrong, brothers. Their only fault was they were Muslim. Now they have cases, UAPA cases on them. They've been called terrorists. They were normal students studying in JNU and Delhi University, in Jamia Millia and all that. And today, number one, nobody gives them a job for an honorable life. Nobody is willing to pay their lawyers for all the cases that have been, false cases that have been put upon them. Are we bothered? Do we read the Quran? Do we remember death? Do we know what is the way to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do you know what the way of strength is? If there is no feeling for each other. Surah Hashr, chapter 59, verse 7, I think, describes the Ansar-e Medina. the Ansaris of Medina, what kind of hearts they had. There's a descriptive word, tusiruna ala anfusihim. Walau kana, they preferred the others or themselves, even though they were needy, they needed it more. But they said, no, no, give it to him. His child deserves more than my child. I am in a better situation. At least I ate one day. He has not eaten for 2 days. What a life. What kind of people and what kind of people have we become? We read the Quran. Friends, the Quran gives us a completely different perspective of life. It makes us think about other people in the world today, how they are suffering. Otherwise, life is selfish. I, me, myself. And that's what our life in the whole world is. Very narrow, bigoted. We don't think beyond. The world makes you friendly. The Quran makes you a part of the entire universe and friendly with it. The environment, the wind, the sky, the birds, the trees, we are all together. We are all one creation under earth, under one God. It makes us friendly. You can even talk to trees and animals. You feel we are all one. Serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala morning and evening, day and night. So beautiful world becomes. You don't destroy the earth after that. You protect the environment after that. You are trustees of this world. What a thing that Quran gives us. Friends, after saying who is successful, there is a verse. I want you to open that verse. It is in Surah Al-Furqan, that is chapter 25. In chapter 25, I think it is verse 30. Let's check that out. Surah Furqan, which is chapter 25. Let us go to verse 30. See what it says. No, 30. وقال الرسول يا ربي إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا. On the day of judgment, the Prophet will complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rabbi, oh my Lord, Inna khawmi, my people. Who is my people? You and I. Inna khawmi takhazu hazal Quran. They took this Quran mahjura. There are different meanings that mahjura brings in. They abandoned the Quran. Hijrat. They left the Quran. They gave up on the Quran. This is a complaint of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, describing his people, you and I, that these are people who abandoned the Quran, who left it, who didn't care about it, who just kept it in the highest shelves, beautified it, kept it covered up, never thought about it, never wondered about it, never understood it. Just imagine if your son reads a book and doesn't understand it, will he be able to pass any exam? You know how to teach your son mathematics and English and physics and chemistry and biology. You know how to read your engineering and management books. Do you know how to read the Quran? What kind of an attitude? Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the Quran and you don't read it, don't understand it. Ya Rabbi, Inna khawmi ittakhazu hazal Qur'ana mahjura. They took it like a joke book. They didn't take it seriously. They didn't understand it. Is that not your position and my position today? You should see the kind of textbooks I have for medicine. You need to read big books. But the Quran, no time for it. Inshallah, after we retire, you'll get the time. It's too late. You don't even need it after that. We need it to satisfy our minds. We make our children huffaz without even understanding what he is reading. What kind of attitude is this? Friends, the Quran asks you another question. It asks, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ? I think it's in chapter 47 or 48. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ? Haven't you pondered on the book? Haven't you thought about it? Deeply thinking on every little verse? And asks a question, Am ala khulubin akhfaluha? Are your hearts locked? Don't you understand? Don't you think? Friends, people who don't think, people who don't wonder, you know what Allah Ta'ala does to them? Summum, bukmum, umyun, fahum la yaqilun, la yarjiun. They are people who have no intelligence. Their eyes are locked. Their hearing is locked. Their hearts are locked. And before they get locked, let us unlock them. Let us unseal them. Open the book and read in the name of your Lord. Try to understand. Friends, like we said in the beginning, today is a life when there is no peace of mind. Allah bi zikrillahi tatma'innal qulub. There is no better thing on life to get peace of mind than the constant reading and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and reading the Quran, understanding it, pondering it, sitting in a class like this, wondering on the dunya, wondering on ourselves, wondering on our purpose, wondering on what success is, what failure is, who are the successful people, who are the losers, what are the attributes of success? Is there do I have those attributes in me? To what extent and what degree do I have in me? Do I really envy a man who earns and gives out money? Do I want to be like that man? Do I want to be like that man who learns the Quran and gives out the Quran? خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best amongst you is somebody who learns the Quran and teaches the Quran. Do you want to be? Friends, in times when life is so weak and humiliating for the Muslims, the Quran diagnoses the reason why you are like that and encourages you and says, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. Don't worry. Don't give up. Don't be depressed. It encourages you, shows you light at the end of that tunnel. Am hasibtum an tadkhulul jannah? What do you think? Life is easy, that your Jannah is going to be easily achieved? You know how difficult engineering and medicine is. You know how difficult life is. Go out and work hard. And you think Jannah will be gotten just like that, without struggle, without being questioned, without being put to a mighty struggle. Life is hard. You have to stand up for the truth, stand up for justice. Friends, what do? Let us start reading the Quran. Let us join classes. Let us be in the company of good people. There is a beautiful dua. If you open the Quran, where the Quran ends, there is a dua that all of us should learn. And we should recite it again and again. And that will create that attachment to the Quran. Read it every day or many times a day. Allahumma anis wa shati fi qabri. Allahumma arhamni bil Quran al azim. Waj'alhu li imaman wa nuran wa hudan wa rahma. What a prayer. It says, God, anis wa shati fi qabri. Save me from the difficulties of the darkness of the grave. Have you wondered about the grave? And then it says, Arhamni bil Quran al azim. Have mercy on me. Does anybody want Allah's mercy? Or do you want just a promotion in your job? Seek Allah's mercy morning and evening. Bil Quran al azim. Through this Quran, give me mercy. The Quran can be a source of mercy for all of us. That's what the Quran is. You want Allah's mercy? Get attached to the Quran. Waj'alhu li imama. In a time when we don't have leaders, everybody complains we don't have good leaders. Look, there is a dua here which says, make the Quran my imam. That is who I follow. There is the Imam for you. You don't need Imam Mahdi to come now. But we refuse to do that. We refuse to go in the direction that the Quran says. God, make the Quran the Imam of my life, the compass of my life, the direction setter of my life, the GPS of my life. Every day, morning and evening, you read this. وَاجْعَلْهُ لِي إِمَامًا وَنُورًا. Make it the light of my life. I'm confused. Everything is dark. Give me that light through which I can walk. وَاجْعَلْهُ لِي نُورًا. Otherwise, I don't know which direction to go in. Everything looks dirty. What do I do now? وَاجْعَلْهُ لِي إِمَامًا وَنُورًا وَهُدًى. Guide me. وَاجْعَلْهُ لِي إِمَامًا وَنُورًا وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً. And make that a source of guidance to me, of hidayat to me, afiyah to me. And then it goes on and says, remind me what I have forgotten and teach me what I don't know from the Quran. Warzuq ni tilawatahu ana al-layli wa ana an-nahar. Give me that rizq also. We want only pay and money. Warzuqni. Make that rizq come to me. What is that rizq? Tilawatahu ana al-layli wa ana an-nahar. Morning and evening, let me recite the Quran. What a dua. Wajaluli hujjatai ya rabbal alamin. Make that my defense on the day of judgment. Let the Quran come and say, Allah, this is a man who read the Quran, who pondered upon the Quran, who secured the Quran, who followed the Quran, who obeyed the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this day, don't question him. He is my man and he will intervene. It will become the shifa. It will become the intercessor. The Quran is an intercessor for you. Friends, that is what the Quran is. Let us not abandon the Quran. Let us read it. Let us memorize it. Let us stand in prayers in the middle of the night and read it. Stand up. And how do you read it? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Read it once, read it twice, read it thrice. Full, long. Rabbil Alameen. Get that concept in your head that you are standing, being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's the Rabb of this entire Alameen, the universe, everything. To him it belongs. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Hope comes in. You are the Rahman. Say that 10 times. Don't go to the next verse. Easily, measured voice, beautified voice, pulling voice, repeated voice. That's how you read it. And that makes the Quran, many times, one of the problems with the Quran is it goes to the ear, but doesn't go into the heart. How do you make it go into the heart is a trick that we need to learn. Friends, we need to beautify our voices. Ramadan is around the corner. Shahru Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed. In it is a night. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Laylatul qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. A very powerful night, equivalent to 1,000 nights. 1,000 months, 85 years. Seek Allah's blessings in this month of Ramadan through the Quran. The Ramadan is because of the Quran. Shahru Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-hudal lin-nas. There is guidance for us. In this, there is guidance. There is a way. Let us decide that our tomorrow is not like this. Let us seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having treated the Quran like the people before us. Surah Jummah tells us, Mathalul lazina humil al-Tawrata thumma lam yahmiluha kamathalil himari. The people who were given the book before you treated the book like donkeys. Treated the book like donkeys, carried it on their backs and delivered it to their next generation, never opened it, never read it, never understood it, never followed it, and never propagated it. What kind of people? Donkeys. This is what the Quran argues with you. There is a very famous book written by a revered mathematician. What's his name? Jeffrey Lang. He writes a very, very interesting thing about the Quran. It says once you open the Quran, when it asks you probing questions, you try to avoid it. You look the other way. You know, when things are too difficult, you look the other way. But the Quran comes from that side now. You look that way, it will come from there. You look this way, it will come from here. You look up, it comes from above. You look down, it comes from. It does not leave you until you face those questions that the Quran asks and answer those questions to yourself. It won't leave you. And then he writes a book. Jeffrey Lang wrote many books. One of the books is struggling to surrender. The Quran demands your surrender, demands submission. Listen to me. And we don't want to listen. We want to move out. We want to listen to our own desires. Friends, Ramadan is coming. Let us look back and see how much of the Quran we have read. How many tafasir have we read? How much have we inculcated into our own character? Who do we think we are? What is our identity? What is our purpose in life? What is our definition of success? Do we have the attributes of success? Do we know that? Do we really love the Jannah? Do we really love the Prophet ﷺ? Do we really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do we want to be close to him? Do we want to be in the highest rungs of the Jannah? Do we want Jannatul Firdaus? Do we know what kind of horrible situation there is in the Akhirah? Are we forgetful? Are we constantly reminded? What kind of attachment do we have to the Quran? Friends, Quran makes us very, very, very powerful. It gives us the strength to face the dunya. And people in whose hearts is the Quran people are afraid of such people. They stand with certain strength, not on the basis of their power, but on the basis of taqwa, the basis of morality. And the world is always afraid of such people. Let us become that model follower of the Prophet, slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reader of the Quran, follower of the Quran, teacher of the Quran, propagator of the Quran, upholder of the Quran. That is what we all need to become. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives me that tawfiq and gives all of us that tawfiq. And may Allah ta'ala forgive us for our sins in the past, and may Allah ta'ala give us a bright future. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Mubashir, and all friends.